Hello everyone. So today we have Encik Hazman Baharom, which is the head of national coach for the Malaysian team to the International Philosophy Olympiad in 2022. So he received his Bachelor of Arts in Economics from the University of Manchester under the Yayasan Sime Darby scholarship and went on to obtain his master's degree in Humanities from Universiti Teknologi Malaysia. He has an illustrious career working for Sime Darby and the Parliament of Malaysia. He is now a member of the Independent Ethics Committee in Ramsay Sime Darby Healthcare and a senior curriculum designer from Edvolution Enterprise. And he's also a researcher at Waseda University in Japan. So regarding the Philosophy Olympiad, Encik Hazman is a member of the Persatuan Pendidikan Falsafah dan Pemikiran Malaysia, or PPFPM, which is the National Society for Philosophy Education and the national organizer of the selection test for the International Philosophy Olympiad here in Malaysia. So hello, Hazman. Thank you for joining us here in AMISO.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so you as the head of national coach of the Philosophy Olympiad, which is quite a new Olympiad compared to mathematics and the physics, but it's a very exciting Olympiad, and I see a lot of students have been very excited to join this and very curious to know more about this new Olympiad. So can you tell us more about this Philosophy Olympiad and how does Malaysia select its team?
Yeah, thank you so much, Jacin. I am very happy to be here. International Philosophy Olympiad is like any other science Olympiads that we have in the world. It comprises of questions, and students need to answer the questions. But I think the difference between Philosophy Olympiad and the questions in other science Olympiad is that in Philosophy Olympiad, you are expected to write an essay responding to a philosophical quote, and you can go from any angle that you want. But I think, are you from the Maths Olympiad, Jacin?
I'm from the physics and the informatics one.
Right. So the Physics Olympiad is something like the Maths Olympiad, right? You have a set of questions, a very structured one, and then you need to be creative on finding a solution to all these pre-structured questions. But in Philosophy Olympiad, as what I will show you later, the questions are just quotes. That, for example, Simone de Beauvoir, the quote from Simone de Beauvoir: "A woman is not born a woman is made a woman." So the quote is there. So the students can respond to it by criticizing it, or expanding it, or explaining, or maybe offer a new perspective on it. So in a way, it frees you to think about what you want to say in the Olympiad. Internationally, the IPO has started, I think, since the second half of the 20th century. Malaysia is quite a latecomer to the IPO since 2018. But I think better late than never. So in 2018, your second question, how we started selecting in 2018. So the idea started from our previous head of national coach, Dr. Alino, and also one of our coaches for Maths Olympiad, Sohaimi. So these two people, they want Malaysia to represent in 2018 Philosophy Olympiad in Montenegro. So what they did was, one of the fastest way to get kids who are interested in philosophy, they went to Permata Pintar. So they got this Permata Pintar kids, and they bring, I think, these 4 or 5 kids to UiTM Dengkil, and I was also involved in the selection camp. Then finally, that year, we were only allowed to bring only one representative because it was our first time. I don't know exactly how the system worked at that time. So, and then we got our first representative, Chan Zukit. He was doing his A-levels at that time. So that was our very first time selecting a Malaysian team. The timeline was very short because we were doing the camp in March, and we were expected to send the team in May. But then in 2019, we started to have 3 levels of camp. the first three levels of selection. The first selection is an online essay competition that we are opening them in the PPFPM website and also PPFPM social media. So this essay competition is open to everyone who are under 19 years old and who are Malaysians under 19 years old. They can participate and they can write either in Malay or English. Then from there, we selected around 20 best essays, and these 20 people we bring them to UKM for a camp. So in that selection camp, we created a program of a 1 week philosophy camp where they will be bombarded with almost all aspects of philosophy. We bring people to talk about epistemology, ethics, politics, gender, law, and so on. So I would say that was quite an intense camp in UKM for these kids. And finally, after that camp, we had a final essay competition. So that final essay, we shortlisted, I think at that time we shortlisted 4 people, but we need to choose 2. So after that, Dr. Alino, he held an interview with all these 4 people, and then we selected 2 people, which was Amir Rafiq and also Ayu Awatif. So these kids are quite impressive from my own perspective, because Chan Zukit, when he was first participating, he got honorable mention. Ame, when he was first participating in 2019, he also got honorable mention. And our best achievement is in EIPO 2020, since it was COVID, so they need to do EIPO in Slovenia. Slovenia was the organizer. That was our best achievement so far, because Ame got the silver medal at that time. And in 2021 also online because of COVID again, Ame got honorable mention. And in 2021, we have our representative were Ame and Adam Tufail. And now we are selecting in 2022. We just concluded our selection like 3 days ago. So this weekend we are starting the work to train our team to go there in May. Yeah. So this year it is in Lisbon, Portugal.
That's great. So you just finished selecting the top 20, is it, or are the top 4 of the tour?
We just finished selecting the team, the top 2.
Oh, the top 2 already. Wow.
Yep. Yeah,
So
we started quite early. We started since end of last year because we know that the process will be long. We want this to reach as diverse population as possible, because there is a risk, when you put online, there is a risk that it will not reach schools. In 2019, I remember we contacted JPN at every state, but the problem is the information at JPN are not cascaded to the PPD and are not cascaded to schools. So schools are in the dark. So what we did this year was we tried to get as much connections as possible from as many types of schools as possible. So that's why this year, I think our finalists are the most diverse. We have people from private school. We have people from government colleges. We also have Malaysians who are studying A-levels overseas. Yeah, so that's quite diverse lah, I would say.
So Hazman, like how many applicants do you have, like contestants you have for the season this year?
Okay. If you want the full number, let me check my Google Drive. So I think it's around 80 essays, somewhere around that one. Somewhere around that number. So when we open up for the first round, which is the online essay competition, we have around 80 participants this year. I think the biggest yet. And then from that 80, we selected the best 11 essays to participate in our final selection camp. And then from that camp, we then have the final interview. And after the final interview, last week, which was just done last week, and we got 2. So don't worry for all of you who well, I am sure students will be watching this, right? So for all of you who feel that you are interested to join, but you don't have any exposure to philosophy, don't worry, because when you register for the online essay competition, before the competition starts, we will invite you to series of philosophy lectures. So you will be exposed to some basic aspects of several fields in philosophy before we even start the online essay competition. So that we hope that it can bridge the unfair equality of opportunity lah. Yeah.
That's a very great initiative. And I think throughout the years, like maybe in next year or the year after this, there will be more and more students, and maybe we will get into the hundreds or even thousands of potential contestants. Because I believe there's much more Malaysians out there that is very interested in participating in this selection.
Yeah, we hope so.
Yeah. So, Hazman, just to confirm, so is there a fee to participate in this selection test?
In the selection test, we so far we only have a very minimal fee. I think last year's this year's selection in the essay competition, 20 ringgit per person. So that 20 ringgit will be used for all the administrative costs lah, including paying all the lecturers. Yeah.
I think this 20 ringgit is definitely worth it, considering that all these students will get so much exposure to the training from the best lecturers in Malaysia in philosophy. You mentioned about the students who qualified through the final round is going to get trained in Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia, right? So they will get trained by perhaps lecturers from PPFPM, or is it lecturers from UKM, or is it PhD students?
Yeah, to answer your question, in the selection of the lecturers also we are trying to be as diverse and inclusive as possible. In the very beginning, it was not so diverse because it comprises of the small clan of Olympiad alumni, Dr. Alino and Suhaimi. So they only reach to whoever they know that can teach philosophy. But starting 2019, we started to involve people from outside. For example, this year we included syllabus such as the non-Western philosophy, because we realized that the IPO is also becoming more diverse. In 2019, they incorporated some Hindu philosophy texts. In 2019, they got some Chinese philosophy. Wow, this is interesting. So this year, in our syllabus, we got people like Dr. Peter Chang from an expert of Chinese philosophy, to teach Chinese philosophy to the students. And we realized that before this, we did not talk about gender. So this year, we involve Fadiah Nadwa Fikri, a lawyer and also PhD candidate from NUS, National University of Singapore, to talk about gender, philosophy of gender to the students. So that is something that I think what we do lah. We try to involve people from the field as much as possible, from the diverse fields. For example, my field is about ethics and political philosophy, so I will teach that. Dr. Alino, his field is mathematics, so he will teach either philosophy of mathematics or logic. We also have our lecturer of logic, Farhan Nasir. He is currently a PhD student at Tübingen in Germany. He will teach logic to these students. So that's how we find people. We try to find the best people in the field to teach the students. Of course, there will be people who have some time constraint, or maybe they could not attend. That's why these kind of things are all administrative hurdles that you need to go through lah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very exciting for the students to learn from like the best minds in philosophy in our region, like the doctor, the lecturer from UM and also the PhD candidate from NUS. And I think there's more and more diverse philosophy to come, not just the classical philosophy like what we usually learn on the Western one, like Greeks, the Aristotle and the Socrates. If you mention philosophy now, I think most people would think about the Greek philosophers. But yeah, like now we mentioned that there's also Chinese philosophers, and our country, Malaysia, is also using our talents in that field to train our students. I think that is a very exciting thing to see, and it's definitely worth that 20 ringgit. Yeah, and for the students out there, if in any case you cannot afford that 20 ringgit, it's okay. You can let us know at the Alumni Association, and we will help you out with the fee. And I think PPFPM will be willing to help that out as well.
Yeah.
Okay. I want us to ask something about the financial also, about because some Olympiads they have involved a fee when you participate in the international version of the competition at a host country. So how does IPO handle this? How does PPFPM administer this?
You mean a fee for the international one,
Yes.
is it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, how to say this? Usually PPFPM will have some reserve of its funds. Usually the funds of PPFPM will come from its members, of course, but also it will come from events that PPFPM are doing. For example, if you look at PPFPM social media, we are not only holding philosophy Olympiad camps or teaching philosophy to students, but there will always be, like almost every 2 weeks, there will always be conferences about some specific issues in philosophy. If I'm not mistaken, next week there will be a conference about the philosophy of the Malay language by PPFPM. So some of these specific conferences that PPFPM is holding, we charge some fees to people. So that's also some source of revenue for PPFPM. And of course, for the purpose of Philosophy Olympiad, to send students to the IPO, our experience in 2018, 19, 18 and 19 lah, because we need to go overseas. We got some very good donors. We got some very good donors from people who are following us. We also have from institutions. Yeah, some of the institutions that are related to the students who are representing Malaysia, they donated the flight tickets and so on. I don't know if you remember in 2019, one of our Malaysian representative, Ayu Awatif, the bureaucracy in Malaysia can be a little bit tiring to face with. So the state institution promised something to the student, but then towards the end, the student did not get anything. So the student went to the media, and then and then when the story broke in the media, even Syed Saddiq contacted the student to give some donation. Yeah, so that's how we roll so far. We still don't have some super rich alumni yet. We are hoping to have that as what you have in Maths Olympiad. So pray for us too.
I think it's very nice to see that PPFPM is helping the students taking a very active role in helping the students to fund their opportunity to represent the country. So that for all the students out there, if you join this Olympiad, you don't need to worry at all, right, Hazman, about the cost about attending the International Philosophy Olympiad, because look how dedicated PPFPM and Encik Hazman is doing to make sure that you have the opportunity to represent your country when you go through the final round. So and also you mentioned about the PPFPM events and all those things. So if any of you guys out there who are interested about these events, I also follow their Facebook page, and they do have a lot of events every week. So we have shared the link down there in the description. So if you want to check out their social media, you can check out in the description below. Okay, so let's go to the next question. It's about the Philosophy Olympiad, both the local and the international version. So Hasman, do you have can you show us your favorite problem in the either national selection test or the International Philosophy Olympiad? You can just tell us. Okay. And yeah, can you like if it's your favorite problem or is a typical problem? Yeah.
Right. A typical problem of the IPO would be any quote from philosophical text that you can imagine. But to give you an idea, let me share a screen. Let me share my screen. Okay.
You can go on.
Yeah. Okay. So if any one of you are interested to see what are the real questions in the IPO, you can go to this website, philosophy-olympiad.org. This is the official website of the IPO. I know it doesn't look really nice because, well, I think I think the developers are also philosophers. So I think this is my favorite question so far. In This is the question for 2020 IPO, the online one, topic number 1, and this was also the topic that Amir wrote that brought him the silver medal. So this quote is from Sally Haslanger, a feminist philosopher. If the social reality is organized around the cute dog dichotomy, then there are cute girls and dorky girls, and it would be a mistake not to recognize this. This is important social knowledge. But at the same time, it is tempting to say that the cute dog dichotomy is an illusion. It is socially and morally problematic, and because it is reified through a pattern of belief and expectation, it could be undermined by a refusing to have belief in its terms. More generally, in cases such as this, we seem to be able to generate the contradiction. It is true that P, so you should believe P, but believing P makes it true, and it would be better if P weren't true, so you shouldn't believe P. So this is from Sally Haslanger in her essay. The title is "But Mom, Crop Tops Are Cute." So this is a very interesting take of the idea of logical contradiction and classification. Yeah. So you can go to metaphysics, you can also go to ethics, you can also go to even to logic and ontology in this question. So if I'm not mistaken, Ame went to metaphysics and some mathematical philosophy of mathematics to demonstrate his answer for this. So so this is my favorite question lah. Not only because it is quite new, but also it brings out something which I think is not, well, it's not typical in the discussion when people say, oh, this is philosophy. So it's not like philosophy is only learning about all the old men with beards. So so this is my favorite problem.
So Hassan, can you expand a bit more on how what is the model solution and how you will approach this question? Like you mentioned about metaphysics and the philosophy of mathematics, method of sovereignty. So can you give the students a brief outline of how the intended solution is?
Okay, you can go many ways. One of the way is that so if you look at the first statement of the question, social reality is organized around a dichotomy. So that can be problematized already because it assumes a dialectical relationship that shapes our understanding of reality. So you can bring in a lot of dialectical issues all the way back to Plato and also to Kant, and you can also bring it to Hegel if you want, right? So that's the first way that I think I would like to approach this question lah. But the more important one is that is it true or is it an illusion? Is it a real thing that exists ontologically, or is it something that this is a jargon, reification? That is it something that is reified through whatever is happening in the social reality, whatever is happening in the dialectical relationship between existence and essence, for example. Yeah, some philosophers love to have this difference between existence and essence. Uh, when you say you exist, what first, of course, what is the proof that you exist? Say, for example, you can prove that you exist already, right? Next, what is the level of your existence? Because we cannot agree, we can agree that the level of existence of the laptop in front of me is not the same as the level of existence of the idea of laptop in my head, right? And the idea of laptop in my head, is it the same as with the idea of justice, for example, in my head? Yeah. So we can already distinguish between different levels of existence. However, gentlemen, if you look at all the images in your head that you create, for example, the concepts, time, space, existence, essence, right? Whatever it is, yeah. Is it a preordained, predestined, or hardwired concept in your mind, or is it something that is created because of you, because of your mind has already reacted towards the environment, reacted towards the, so to speak, social reality? Yeah, because this brings us to another debate, for the debate between the Kantian idealism and also the idea of tabula rasa. Locke, in his essay of on human understanding. Okay, so I think I have gone so far. Let's go back to this. So the question was around the idea of social reality. Is it based on a dichotomy of two values? Yeah. So if it is based on dichotomy of two values, then there must be only two values, either or, right? But however, you go further. Is this two value, either or, is already inherent in nature, already inherent in the social reality, or is something that is reified through all the interconnectedness of social, whatever institutions or whatever education, whatever ideas in the society? Yeah. And then if you look at the last statement, more generally, in cases such as this, we seem to be able to generate a contradiction. It is true that P, so you should believe P, but believing P makes it true. And it would be better if P weren't true, so you shouldn't believe P. So this is a practice, so to speak, in tautology. Tautology, because all of you are from mathematics, I assume you already know. Definition on a definition of itself, right? So it already assumes a tautology in assuming the existence of something. And when you assume an existence of something, you also assume that something else is the contradiction of that something that we discussed first, right? Now, the question is that contradiction an inherent contradiction, or is that also based on whatever your social reality tells you? Yeah. So that is what I mean by we can go many ways. We can go to first the existence of P and Q. How do you explain the existence? What are the criteria of existence? What are the type of existence? So all these are metaphysical questions. Next, you can also go to the philosophy of mind. All the concepts in your mind, all the way your mind understands itself, until how your mind understands the reality around it, are they hardwired in your mind, or are they something that your mind reacts with whatever is outside you? Yeah. And you can also bring to the to even ethical philosophy, or even legal philosophy. You can also question the origin of ethics, for example. Yeah, believing in P makes it true. It would be better if P weren't true, so you shouldn't believe in P. So there is no one way to answer a correct philosophical essay. You can go many ways. You can be as free as you want, but the marks will come from your philosophical analysis. your knowledge about whatever the past philosophers have said about this issue, number one. Second, it will be about how sophisticated is your philosophical analysis of this issue, and finally, how creative you are in exploring different philosophical positions on an issue. Yeah. So I hope I'm not talking too long. Yeah.
It's very interesting to listen to so many different philosophical concepts applying to one single problem. I think this is not just my favorite philosophy problem, but it's also like one of my favorite problem out there across all the fields. Like the way that you explain, like how expansive this is, touching everything from the philosophy of the mind and the legal systems and uh, like this is just mind blowing. I think a lot of students will be very interested to join the local selection when they see like questions like this is uh, like what will be asked in the real international version of the Olympiad. So yeah, so just to recap, so how the question is graded, how the work of the students is graded, it's not based on like an answer. It's not like the questions in the assessments from the school that you need to do the work and then you get the final answer. No, in philosophy Olympiad, it's about the knowledge you shown in your workings, the how sophisticated you are in analyzing the text, and also how creative you are in approaching the problem. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting, and then a lot of students will be excited to jump into doing this instead of doing those school curriculum that is tying up all their creativity, and they can just unleash it here with PPFPM and the Philosophy Olympiad. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, this is the difference between us and the mathematics or the physics
Yeah.
Olympiad, right?
Okay, I have a bit reservation when you compare to that, but let's go to the next question. So
Okay.
can you show us some photos of Malaysians in IPO?
Yeah,
Because
sure.
from what we heard, IPO is not just a competition; it is a mega event that students from all around the world can learn from each other, make friends, and even philosophers and team leaders from all around the world can make connections. So, can you show us photos about it?
Yeah, I would like to share another tab.
Okay.
So this was a picture of our Malaysian team in 2019. This is Dr. Alino in the middle, our head of coach at that time. At the far right is Ame, and beside Ame is one of our officers at the Malaysian Embassy in Rome. Um, do we have it? Okay, tak apalah. Okay, so yeah, okay, we do. Okay, so beside Dr. Alino is Ayu, and then beside Ayu is Encik Rafi'i, Amir's father. So, so in this year in Rome, we got honorable mention. Amir got honorable mention, and then this was in Montenegro in 2018. So we got 100 participants from all over the world, and our very first participant from Malaysia, Chan Zukit, he obtained honorable mention for the first time participating, and that's very impressive for me. He is a very smart student lah. So next in IPO 2019, we sent Amir Rafiq and Ayu Awatif. Both are also very smart students. Amir got honorable mention in that year. Next in 2020 and 2021, it was they were done virtual, hosted by Slovenia. Amir won silver award 2020 and also honorable mention in 2021. So in 2022, we don't know yet. We hope that everything will be okay and everything will be smooth because, of course, they are doing it physically in Lisbon, and we hope that with all the challenges of COVID and everything, it will be smooth lah for us. We hope. Yeah.
Husband, just to stop you here, in that photo, is that Masli Malik?
Yes, yes. Oh, yeah. This is Mazli Malik because after Rome, after Rome 2019, since 2 years in a row, 2018 and 2019, and 2018 first time participating some more, we got we got honorable mention for both years in a row. So Dr. Alino played a very important role in pitching this thing to the office of the minister, and then Mazli was interested, and he invited the team lah to meet him at his office. Yep.
It's quite a wonderful thing.
Right. So yeah. So I think these are the pictures about Malaysia's past experience at the IPO.
All right, thank you. So yeah, I think it's quite nice to see the faces of IPO and like all this I just now I see a picture about 50 countries, like 5 times 10, there's 50 countries in the Olympiad. So it's quite a relatively large Olympiad. It's more on the large side of the Olympiad, and it is quite a prestigious and a very internationally recognized Olympiad as well, right?
Yep.
Like even if you attract the attention of the Ministry of Education, so thanks to your committee. So yeah, thank you guys for doing such a work for all the students out there. So I think that's all that I have for the questions. Apart from two more, for the national selection, because it's online, and are you guys going to keep it online that way for the first round?
Yeah, so far we are keeping it online for the first round because we think that it is better for people who are logistically challenged.
Yeah.
So far we are still trying to get more participations from Sabah and Sarawak. We get a lot of participations already from Semenanjung. So yeah, we for the next year we are trying to approach more schools in Sabah and Sarawak if we can. Yeah, online will be better lah for everyone in Malaysia to participate.
I totally agree with that. That means more people will have access to this opportunity. Okay. So there's one more question about the national selection test. So how can students who are interested in the national selection test be prepared for it? Like you mentioned about before the competition, they will be reading text, like quotes given out. But how about before that? Like can students like go through internet to like how do they start learning philosophy rigorously in preparation for this Olympiad?
Yeah, thank you. That's a very good question. Okay, so the national selection will be around October or November. For example, the selection for 2023 will start around October, November this year. So around September, we are opening registration for the online essay competition that everyone under 19 years old can participate. And for one person, you need to pay 20 ringgit for participation. And of course, before you go for the test, we will open several philosophy lectures to introduce you to philosophy before you actually write about philosophy. But if you want to prepare from now on, actually there are a lot of websites that you can follow to read about philosophy. You can also read a very in my opinion, some of the very good introductory books about philosophy are the Oxford Very Short Introduction Philosophy. Yeah, Oxford Very Short Introduction to Philosophy. That's quite good. And of course, you have also a lot of websites out there that talks about philosophy. Yeah, and if you want to know about concepts in philosophy, one of the most reliable websites out there is the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. So you can search any concepts that are existing in philosophy in that encyclopedia. I think that's academically speaking, I think that's the best online encyclopedia of philosophy. Yeah. And also, if you want to listen to podcasts, Professor Peter Adamson, he has this one podcast on, I think it's available on both Apple and also Android platforms. The name of his podcast is History of Philosophy Without Any Gaps. Yeah, History of Philosophy Without Any Gaps. He started from the very beginning of recorded history of humanity until the modern period.
Okay, so thank you, Hazman, about sharing to us about the resources that the students can use. So just to recap, we have the PPFPM lectures, and we also have the Oxford Very Short Introduction to Philosophy and the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy available online. And we also have podcasts by the philosopher Peter Anderson, which is History of Philosophy Without Any Gaps. And yeah, so thank you for sharing about all these resources. And I think a lot of students will be very excited to jump into the work and learn more about the philosophy. And I think it's gonna be a very rigorous. Okay, it's gonna be tough. I'm sure about that. Like I know how rigorous you analyze the text. I know that philosophy is really a very tough science to deal with. But I think a lot of students will be more than eager to do to pursue their interest in philosophy by doing that. So, Hazman, now we're at the end of the talk. Do you have anything more to share about the Philosophy Olympiad?
Yeah, I hope that more students will join the Philosophy Olympiad. I do know that many students feel intimidated with the word philosophy. What more Philosophy Olympiad, right? Both words are like, well, nerdy words, so to speak. So people will feel intimidated. I would say if you have the interest, you are most welcome to join. You are most welcome to participate, because philosophy is not something like you need to read a lot of books. You are expected to read a lot of books. Of course, if you are doing serious philosophy in academic setting, you need to do that lah. But every one of us have the ability to philosophize. When you discover things around you and you start to ask questions, you are actually philosophizing. So why not bring it a little bit higher in terms of seriousness by joining the Philosophy Olympiad essay?
That's very well said. So all our philosophers out there, I mean, now I'm also a philosopher, like how husband said, and we all encourage you guys to join this philosophy Olympiad. So you have our full support from AMISO, and I think PPFPM will be very glad to support your journey in discovering philosophy and pursuing all the questions and answers that you want to ask about. So thank you, Hazman, so much for joining us here in AMISO. I think a lot of students out there will be very inspired from your information sharing session today. And I wish you all the best for the team, the two students who will
Thank
be
you.
representing our country at fall or winter this year in Portugal. All the best. And I hope the PPFPM will have more students to join the Philosophy Olympiad in the near future. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Okay. Bye bye.